Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. 92.7. Tomato shortage looms as Ghanaian traders threaten to boycott Burkina Faso route after deadly attack left 8 dead. Also on the program, Ghana National Association of Cocoa Farmers welcome cost-cutting decision by Cocoa Board management, but they demand a bigger slash. And much later on the program, we'll also take you to the Jama North District Assembly, where over 9,500 birds have been distributed to 245 residents through the government in Nkokon Ketenkete project. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, tomato shortage is feared in Ghana, following a decision by tomato traders and transport operators to boycott Burkina Faso over rising security concerns along the trade route. The action comes after reports that 8 Ghanaians were killed in a recent attack in Burkina Faso. The incident has heightened fear among drivers and traders who rely on the route to import tomatoes into Ghana. Ibrahim Abubakar has been engaging traders and transporters on the issue. He joins us on the line. Ibrahim, has the boycott taken effect, and what will be the implication for tomato supply in the country?
You know, you can see the boxes around the trucks have been packed. Within 1 week and above, if we stop going to Burkina to bring tomato, there will be scarcity in tomato in this country. So that is the problem. It's not a fancy that you will travel along. Close to over 500 miles from here to some of the farm gates.
TNT biam fast asem we hu ye hu susunsuan so papa bia se ye be ko pa se ye ko fantos abagana ha pa de enya adwuma emma so kra until say yenya further information bi say ebia empempe so adu no ya me security
now dey ya stop ya yenkrofo no se mo obia anko until say aban ye papa be kasa ama no hwan ni no ye hu de wono nso woka na ema no bia ya so de afa ekire enti ye gusu ye hwe de besi ekire.
And he had there some traders. Let's now speak to Ibrahim Abubakar. Ibrahim, if you can hear us, we just heard some traders. If you can tell us where you spoke to them from and really what the implications for tomato supply is like for the country.
Well, it's actually Beatrice, like you heard them mention, and the boycott has taken effect. And when you come to some of their main stations within Kumasi, you would realize that almost all their trucks are parked there. You find some of the drivers also seated loitering about. Others, they are just keeping contact to their colleagues in Burkina Faso, making sure that they would be able to get to Ghana safe, even though they've told even those who are in Burkina Faso to find a safe place and hide, not necessarily come back to Ghana for now until they have some security measures before they will be able to come. But then we do know that the implication will be that if for the coming weeks we are not getting tomatoes in the country, because for decades Burkina Faso has been a major source of tomato for Ghana, especially during the lean season. We don't have enough dams here, so we only produce during the lean season. But for Burkina Faso, they are able to produce all year round. That's how come at some point in the year we have to rely on them for these tomatoes. But the traders who are saying that their life is more important to them than going there or risking it just so they will be able to bring some tomatoes in the country. So now what they are doing is that some of them are turning to local farmers, but they are still saying that Ghana's production is still not enough to be able to meet the consumption demand, because every year they are currently spending millions of dollars to be able to import these products or tomatoes in the country. So for now, they have two demands. One, they want government to invest in them so that we will be able to produce our own tomatoes here and consume them. Then secondly, they would want government to put in place measures to enhance security for their drivers as they go there and bring tomatoes in the country.
Ibrahim Abubakar, thank you very much. I do have in the studio with me my colleague Wisdom Safo with the research desk. Wisdom, you heard Abubakar talk about the fact that we are not able to produce. I do know that we have a shortage of about 65%. Yeah. Just tell us more about really what our problem is.
So, Beatrice, our problem when it comes to tomato supply or tomato production in the country is multifaceted. But in all, Ghana has a total market demand for tomatoes, 1.3 million metric tons of tomatoes demand. I mean, that's what we want to consume or we are willing to consume in the country. But domestically, we are only able to produce 380,000 metric tons. That's 35% of this 1.3 million metric tons, leaving a market deficit. In other words, shortfall of about 65%, 65%, that is 900,000 metric tons. Now, Beatrice, if you look at this 65% deficit, where do we import this 65%? We import about 75% of our deficit, which is the 900,000 metric tons from Burkina Faso alone.
75%?
75% of our fresh tomato imports come from Burkina Faso. And if you look at where these traders, they normally import these tomatoes from, it is from the northern part of Burkina Faso. And these places, we call them the Nord regions. And these Nord regions, they are very susceptible to, insurgencies and jihadist attacks. If you look at a place like Uhigoa and Titao,
which had the latest attack.
These are the major two points where our traders go to pick tomatoes from. And around these areas or around these borders, there have been 7+ attacks in the past 6 years. 7+. So it is not rocket science to hear the traders saying that they fear for their lives, they don't want to go there again, and all that. And it boils down to what are we doing as a country internally to solve this issue of tomato shortage? Because if you look at our tomato production in general, okay, last year, November 2025, we had glut. We were producing excess, such that the market was not able to absorb it. But here lies the case, we are actually experiencing shortage. Normally, we experience shortage from January to March. So we have to go to Burkina Faso to go and import fresh tomatoes.
How much does it cost us?
It costs us around 5.7 billion Ghana cedis annually.
Annually,
yes,
to import
tomatoes
and
tomatoes related products.
Aside from the issue about irrigation, is there any reason that we've had this shortage for this long time?
Beatrice, it's about converting our bumper harvest, tomatoes that are harvested in bumper times
within the period.
Yes, so that we will store them. We don't have enough storage facilities. We don't have companies or in factories or industries that are processing these raw tomatoes into either canned ones or freeze them for us so that in times of need. So, we have to restructure, look at how we can have enough buffer so that in times of shortage, we will release this buffer to the market so that it doesn't cause shortage. Because 7 lives to 8 lives have been lost already. I don't know who will be the next person. So we shouldn't allow this to be going on, Beatrice.
We shouldn't allow this to be going on. I want you to stay in the studio again, because this afternoon, West Africa's cocoa giants are on sharply different paths. While La Côte d'Ivoire has officially maintained its farm gate cocoa price at 2,800 CFA francs per 64 kilogram bag until March 31, Ghana has moved in the opposite direction, cutting its producer price by 28.6%. Ghana's Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiel Atoforsin, announced last week that the producer price would drop from 3,625 to 2,587 per bag, citing falling global prices, a 50,000 ton backlog at the port, and liquidity challenges within the sector. But Abidjan's decision to hold firm has created a near 1,000 Ghana cedi price gap per bag. There are concerns that this differential could trigger cross-border smuggling, threatening Ghana's export volumes, foreign exchange earnings, and cocoa sector stability. Is really La Côte d'Ivoire absorbing the global shock to protect farmers, or is Ghana just making the tough but necessary call to protect its cocoa economy, and ultimately who carries the greater wisdom? And that's where you come in. The price differential, just tell us really what it is like on the ground and whether or not it would make any impact at all on smuggling.
All right, so Beatrice, this 2,800 franc CFA that you mentioned was instituted by the Cocoa and Coffee Council of Côte d'Ivoire. They call them the CCC last year around October. And that one is per kilogram. They set their price not per bag, not the 64. They set it per kilogram. So 2,800 CFA per kilogram. And if you do the conversion, if you convert it into 64 kg, you multiply that 2,800 by 64, you are getting somewhere around 179,200 CFA per bag. That's for the 64 kg. Now, if you do that conversion per our current rate, we are looking at somewhere around 3,580 cedis. So let's take it like 3,600, right? But on the ground, if you go to the market, if you go to the cocoa farmers or the people who actually buy from the cocoa farmers in Ghana, if you want to look at the equivalent to be like PBC or the LBCs, right? They don't pay that high price. They are using a black market price. Now, the black market price currently it stands at around 2,894. So if you are a Ghanaian, so per the new rate that Ghana had been given, right, the cocoa farmers had been given, it's around 2,587. If you're a Ghanaian farmer, there is a shortfall of 307. So there's a price differential of 307 per bag. So
per the current price that people are buying cocoa
from. So Côte
from.
d'Ivoire is paying 307 Ghana cedis more in cedi equivalent for a bag of cocoa. But Beatrice, factor in transportation cost. And if you go there, you are not going to get that 2,800 CFA that has been the official, rate set by the CCC. You are going to get the black market price. So it is not financially, logical to smuggle from Ghana to Côte d'Ivoire, because you have to take care of your transport, and if you go, you are not going to get that 2,800 CFA that has been headlined as official market gate price by the CCC.
Thank you very much, Wisdom Safo, and of course we'll bring you more of this in our subsequent bulletins. And we'll bring you some more on this cocoa and Burkina Faso issue. But ahead of that, amid growing debate over the distribution of development projects in Wa West District, concerned youth of the Eastern Corridor of Wa West District in the Upper West region have justified the decision to site a proposed technical and vocational education and training institution in Ga and a 24-hour economy market in some communities. The group described recent allegations of favoritism involving the Member of Parliament and the District Chief Executive as misguided and misleading. Here's a report by Ibrahim Wangara.
Under the scorching sun in Ga, youth leaders, community members, and opinion leaders gathered to set the record straight on what they describe as a distorted narrative surrounding two major development projects earmarked for the Eastern Corridor of Wa West. At the heart of the controversy is the proposed TVET institution to be constructed in Ga. According to the youth, the project is not a sudden political favor, rather a fulfillment of promise made in 2020 by then presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama during a campaign visit to Ponyentanga. According to them, the chiefs and elders of the Eastern Corridor during the visit appeal for the establishment of a second cycle institution to serve the eastern belt of the district, an area that to date has no senior high or technical school. For the youth, the decision to site the school in Ga followed consultations among traditional leaders who selected the community because of its central location within their corridor and the availability of land reserved for the project over the past 5 years. Addressing the media at a press conference, spokesperson for the group, Hafiz Timbile Adam, rejected claims that the Eastern Corridor is being unfairly favored, stressing that their engagement was not to antagonize any group but to clarify facts and promote unity.
Now that the president has upheld his promise after 5 years, we ask, is it reasonable for anyone to think that this project was meant to go somewhere other than Ga? Would it be fair for anyone to suggest that the project should suddenly be relocated to another community? We say no. The request was for the Eastern Corridor. The land was made available in good faith. The promise is now being fulfilled.
On the issue of the 24-hour economy market, which is said to be constructed at Ponyentang, the youth equally dismissed suggestions that the project was influenced by the MP's hometown ties.
Ponyentang is particularly suitable for the project given its geographical location, which has the international N12 road running through the community. This is the road that links most parts of the Upper West region and the Burkina Faso to the southern part of the country. Ponyentang, as you may be aware, is one of the economic centers with a daily market in the Wa West district. The Ponyentang market is arguably the second highest revenue generating market after Nyole market.
The youth of the Eastern Corridor are therefore calling on residents across Wa West to see development as a shared opportunity, insisting that progress in one part of the district should not be interpreted as neglect of another.
And that report was found by Ibrahim Wangara from Wa in the Upper West region. Let's return to the cocoa story and about what's happening right now, the price differentials and the effect on Ghana and tomato importation. Let's speak to Obed Owusu-Adai, who is coordinator, Ghana Civil Society Cocoa Platform. Good afternoon to you, sir. He joins us live via video call. Good afternoon to you, sir. If you can hear us, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Now, if I may ask you, with nearly 1,000 price gap per bag between Ghana and La Côte d'Ivoire, if you can tell us how significant the risk of cross-border smuggling could be and what this could mean for Ghana.
Well, thank you very much once again, and good afternoon to your viewers. I think that has been one of the major problems that we have had to deal with over the years. When there is a price gap between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, there are mostly likelihood of cross-border smuggling, especially within the Western corridor. And so there's, in times past, it was even less than 500 Ghana cedis, but we saw huge influx of cocoa from Ghana to Côte d'Ivoire, and now that is over 1,000 Ghana. Your guess is as good as mine. It will incentivize these hawks. I mean, there are certain people within the communities along the border. That is the main job that they do. They take opportunity of these instances and they smuggle beans. And so probably what the Cocoa Board would have to do will be to intensify their patrols and work with the other security agencies to minimize the occurrences. But the incidents, it will occur, but they might be able to minimize its occurrences.
Now, we had, I don't know whether you had the opportunity to listen to my colleague from the research desk who brought us data, and what he told us was that, yes, the price per what is on paper may give us about 1,000 difference, but if you look at what is actually happening on the ground, the difference is just about 300 cedis plus, because Côte d'Ivoire, per what people are buying cocoa on the ground is giving about 2,800 plus. How do you understand that?
Yes, so maybe just a bit of context. Unlike Ghana, when the price is set, it is fixed. You cannot go below or above the price. In the case of the Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, the CCC gives they give indicative price, so it is not. The buyers are not bounded by the price. They still negotiate with the cooperatives to purchase. And especially now that the international price has gone down, there has been instances where the buyers are using their market authority to more or less push the cooperatives into corner to be able to sell their beans. So yes, indeed, on the field, the actual prices are a bit lower. But notwithstanding, that is still over 300 cities more than what Ghana is given. So there will still be instances, especially around the Elubo, Dadieso, Enche corridor. There will be instances where beans will be smuggled out of the country.
Ms. Adai, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And you have there Obed Owusu-Adai. He's a coordinator, Ghana Civil Society Cocoa Platform. We stay a bit longer on cocoa issues because the executive management and senior staff of Cocoa Board has announced salary reductions for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop season, citing liquidity challenges and revenue pressure in the cocoa sector. In a statement dated Monday, February 6, 2026, a Cocoa Board announced that the pay cuts take immediate effect and will remain in place for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop year. Executive management will take a 20% cut reduction in salaries, while senior staff have accepted a 10% cut. Cocoa Board emphasized that the overarching objective is to reduce overall expenditure and align operational costs with revenue inflows amid liquidity challenges affecting the industry. And let's engage Abraham Yale, who joins us on the phone. Abraham, if you can tell us how proper it is for executive management and senior staff of Ghana Cocoa Board to announce salary reductions mid-crop year?
Thank you for having me. Greetings to our cherished listeners. Now, the pay cuts, as they are talking about, for the executive management, for the executive management, they can go ahead to do so. But the seniors, one thing they should remember is that they are going to be worse off. You know, the basic pay is also affecting their Senate in your other tax deduction, other obligations that they need to honor. Therefore, the pay cuts, as they've decided, is going to affect them adversely in the future, especially in relation to their Senate, their pension. And they are going to be worse off in the future. So that is what I don't. But if that's what they've agreed, then for me, some of us cannot do much. But it's going to affect them in the future.
Do you see this requiring individual consent, collective bargaining approval, or perhaps board ratification to be lawful?
It should have been a collective agreement. For me, it should have been a collective agreement. The union, I don't know whether the senior staff have association. Elsewhere, they have association, they have union. They need to get their buy-in. If that is the way to save the company or the organization, so be it. But at the tail end, the whole decision is going to affect their future adversely.
I'm sure you might have heard management arguing that the cuts demonstrate shared sacrifice amid liquidity challenges. Does this symbolize pay reduction address the deeper structural issues within the cocoa sector? Does it show that this is really addressing that?
I don't think so. I don't think. See, management when there are crises in the organization, the quick place that they go to is attacking salaries of money. Of employees. Look, when you look at, they should put everything in perspective. Have they done cost-benefit analysis? What is the component of cost in terms of salary, in terms of emolument, in relation to senior staff or executive management? And look at the overall cost. Is the salary a major cost driver? I don't think, for me, when you look at salary, the salary may even form maybe 10% of their total expenditure. And if you leave the 90% cost and go and cut the 10%, you've done nothing.
So
You've done nothing. Because for me, this will not. The salary cap will not save the organization. Because more go. You see, the whole thing is about pricing. And if some of us had listened to the experts, and the experts are saying because of the wet market price, the question is, are their salary determined by the wet market price? I don't think that is so. So when the cocoa price goes up, does it mean that the salary of employees is also going to go up? I don't think that is so. The salary, I don't think is corresponding to the world market price of cocoa. The whole thing is about production. What is the problem? They need to go drill down and just put that side the salary aside as the major cost driver. The salary is not a major cost driver. You will see, it will not. It's just a drop in an ocean. It will just be a drop in an ocean. Because every organization, the salary only forms roughly about 10% of their total expenditure.
Now,
most organizations.
So obviously this is a temporary measure, but what should be the focus moving forward beyond what you've told us?
No, what they need to do is what are the cost drivers? What has brought them to where they are today? You understand? You see, when there's money in the system, people don't care. People don't care about how they spend. They should look at it very well. And you see, the organization has become a political organization. Anytime there is a change of government, a new CEO will come, a new executive will be appointed, and those type of things. They should look into those things and break down what is the cost of it. And the way forward for me is to engage all stakeholders so that they will look at it dispassionately and objectively than to play a political football out of it.
And to play a politics out of it. Thank you very much, Mr. Yale, for speaking to us.
You are most welcome.
And you had the Labour consultant Abraham Yale sharing his views on a number of issues. Now, Ghana's poultry sector is undergoing revitalization as the German North District Assembly distributes 9,500 birds to 245 residents through the government in Nkukong-Ketenkete project. The initiative comes at a time when the country's poultry meat imports reached $373 million, making it one of the top three imports with projections of 70,000 metric tons for the year. A report by Claude Kumi Abisa.
Launched by President John Dramani Mahama in 2025, the Nkukong-Ketenkete initiative has ambitious plans aiming to distribute 3 million birds to 60,000 households across the nation's 276 constituencies, setting a bold vision for the future of Ghana's poultry industry. During the distribution of the birds to beneficiaries, George Adani, the chief executive of the German North District, emphasized his commitment to ensuring the success of the program. He urged beneficiaries to responsibly care for the birds to protect the integrity of this flagship government initiative.
You can see from the background how they are happy and how they are distributing the things for them. I'm very, 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 very happy. Thanks to John Mahama. We received 10,000 birds, and unfortunately some did not survive. My message is to keep them and protect them, do everything that is possible for them to survive. Because if this exercise fails, meaning and this we failed. So we are particularly about that we've set out all the agric extension officers to go around from here to educate them on how it should be reared.
Member of Parliament for the area, Frederick Yao Ahinkwa, emphasized that the Nkukong-Ketenkete program presents a vital opportunity for residents to improve their livelihoods to the region's agriculture landscape.
I believe this is the time for us to produce these things locally. And if we are able to produce these things locally, there wouldn't be any pressure on our city, and the city will continue to be stronger.
That report was found by Claude Kumi Abisa from the German North District. And that's it for the Midday News here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Log on to 3news.com for more news.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up this afternoon, Cocoa Board leadership slashes salaries amid national cocoa liquidity crisis. Meanwhile, senior fellow at the Africa Policy Lens warns of reform failure, says Cocoa Board is suffering from SOE disease, which goes beyond salary cuts.
I think the structural problem, we need to find a way to address it because nothing has changed. Then secondly, there are operational inefficiencies that we need to be able to look at.
And much later, Securities and Exchange Commission blacklists Menkasim over unlicensed operation. I am Enyunam Haliga. We have details of these and other stories. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now to a first story. Ghana's cocoa regulator, Cocoa Board, has announced salary reduction from its top officials for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop year, citing ongoing liquidity challenges in the sector. Ghana Cocoa Board says its executive management and senior staff will take pay cuts as part of efforts to stabilize the institution's finances. There's more in the following 3 Business report.
In a statement issued on February 16, 2026, Cocoa Board confirmed that executive management will take a 20% reduction in salary while senior staff have accepted a 10% cut. The measures take immediate effect and will remain in place for the rest of the 2025-2026 crop year. Cocoa Board says the decision forms part of a broader cost-cutting drive aimed at reducing overall expenditure and align operational cost with revenue. The board added that the salary reduction will be accompanied by procurement reforms and the staff rationalization exercise as management seek to ease financial pressure. The announcement comes at a time of growing strain in Ghana's cocoa industry, with rising operational cost concerns about farmers' welfare and highlighted public scrutiny over cocoa pricing and the regulator's financial position. However, the move is being presented as an effort by leadership to demonstrate shared sacrifice as the institution navigates restructuring measures during the current crop season.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report on Cocoa Board leadership slashing salaries amid a national cocoa liquidity crisis. Now, related to that, a senior fellow at the Africa Policy Lens, Dr. Beatrice Adu, has issued a stark warning regarding the government's newly unveiled cocoa sector reforms, stating that they are destined to fail unless structural and operational inefficiencies at Cocoa Board are addressed. Speaking on business focus, the financial economist noted that Cocoa Board has long been plunged by what he describes as Ghanaian state-owned enterprises disease. Dr. Beatrice Adu characterized this disease as a toxic mix of mismanagement, lack of accountability, and uncontrolled expenditure that eventually leads to once vibrant institutions running themselves into the ground. He noted the situation goes beyond salary cuts.
If we downboard this investment and we don't tackle the fundamental problem of Cocoa Board to ensure that we get enough yield to even feed these factories, all the money that we borrowed will now be pushed on to the average Ghanaian to pay. So we have to be able to tackle the structural issues of the debt that is killing the sector, and find a way to reduce it. We cannot eliminate debt entirely. Now the government is planning to go back and borrow domestically to fund the sector. But I think the structural problem, we need to find a way to address it because nothing has changed. Then secondly, there are operational inefficiencies that we need to be able to look at. All the challenges that cocoa farmers are facing today, we can attribute some percentage to structure, but we can't take operational out. That the fact that the people that are supposed to take decision so that the farmer will be protected, because that's one of the mandates of Cocoa Board. The farmer will be protected, did not take prudent decision enough.
And you had the senior fellow at Africa Policy Lens, Dr. Eric Beatrice Adu. Now, away from that, Ghana's Securities and Exchange Commission has issued a public warning against an online investment scheme operating under the name of Mankesim Marketing Limited, stating that the company is not licensed to operate in the country's capital market. The Securities and Exchange Commission says the Marketing Limited, also known as Mankesim, is neither licensed nor authorized to conduct business in Ghana. Thus more in the following report. The regulator, Securities and Exchange Commission, said any investment activity undertaken by the company is illegal under Ghanaian law. According to the Commission, the scheme is being promoted on social media and other online platforms where members of the public are being encouraged to invest. Potential investors are reportedly promised fixed daily returns for completing tasks described as Job 1 through to Job 10. Securities and Exchange Commission says the returns being advertised are unrealistic and unsustainable, and that the structure of the operation bears the hallmark of a fraudulent scheme designed to attract unsuspecting individuals. The Commission also stressed that running an investment operation without a valid license breaches both the Securities Industry Act of 2026 and the Companies Act of 2019. It's one that those behind an authorized scheme could face administrative penalties as well as criminal prosecution. SEC also says it is working with law enforcement agencies to take appropriate action against those responsible. It is urging the public to carry out due diligence before investing and to verify the licensing status of any investment company through its official channels, including website, email, and toll-free helpline. Now to some other stories. In a move to overhaul the nation's precious mineral sector, the Ghana Cocoa Board has announced the immediate suspension of new applications for several key gold mine licenses. In a press release dated February 16, 2026, the board said the decision forms part of a broader strategy to reform and improve the country's gold buying framework. There's more in the following report.
The Gold Board has suspended new applications for Tier 1 and Tier 2 gold buying license as well as self-financing aggregator license with immediate effect. Gold Board described the move as a strategic reform process aimed at strengthening and modernizing Ghana's gold trading regime. However, the board clarified that applications for aggregator license will remain open during the suspension period. It also assured stakeholders that applications submitted before announcement will continue to be processed. According to Gold Board, the reforms are intended to enhance transparency, strengthen regulator compliance, and improve traceability within the gold trading sector while ensuring that Ghana derives greater national benefit from its gold resources. The board says further details on the revised licensing framework and additional reform measures will be announced in due course.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report on Gold Board suspending new gold mine licensing in major shake-up of the trading regime. That brings us to the end of Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. For more news, please check our website at 3news.com. I am Enyina Maliga. Stay tuned.